I start the recording and want to get going. This is this call. I'm gonna focus very much on the role of the region captain and how we want to progress with that role. So keep that in mind as we go through the different things that we're going to do here. And, you know, we only have 2 region captains right now, and we're going to get into this as we go on. But I think we're laying the groundwork here to for us to create more region captains. So this call is going to become more and more meaningful. So that's what I want to take another step in that direction tonight. That's my whole purpose tonight. But let's get started. Again, our vision statement for Indiana: to build a Hoosier grassroots community of citizens and legislators dedicated to the constitutional concept of self-governance. You've seen this before, and we'll continue to repeat this in every meeting that we have. Now, I want to talk about the mission statement here. First, I want to point out, as I announced in the state call, that we have extended the time period of our mission statement, and this is now extended through the end of the year, December 31st of 2018. So these are the items that we're trying to accomplish between now and the end of the year. Now, pay close attention here, because each of these are going to form the format for future region calls. And the first one is, of course, basically filling all the positions and 70% of the district captain positions. In other words, recruitment. Okay? Second goal is legislator relationships and meetings. Third goal is grassroots. Grow the grassroots to 30,000 supporters. And the fourth one is education. Okay, setting up some educational meetings or means of education. Doesn't have to be town hall. We're gonna talk about. I think we need to talk about different ways of doing this. Town hall may not be the best way anymore, or the best avenue to go. But so in our future region captain calls, I'm going to be asking for each region captain to start to report to us and discuss what's happening in their region with regard to recruitment, legislative contacts and meetings, grassroots growth, and education. All right, now we've got a couple tools to work with here so far, but I hope that we'll be developing more. Not hope, we plan on developing more tools. So as we move forward and as we get more region captains involved, this is how I would like for our call to be conducted, and basically the agenda. And not only will it be a time for you as the region captain to let us know how you're doing in these areas, but this will also be a time when region captains can exchange ideas, talk about problems that they're having, and a time to talk to other region captains, in addition to letting everyone know where you stand in your region. Okay? Now, let's talk about recruitment to begin with here. if you recall, this is the graph that we use in the state call, and all these graphs that we're going to be talking about here, these are all on the leaders site, the Indiana leaders site. And so what I'm after here is, let's take Gary, since you're on the call tonight, let's look at your Region 3. Our goal recruitment-wise is to achieve 70% of the district captains in place. We want 70% of the district captains in place. Now, for your region, that means you need to have 8 district captains. Okay? And right now, you have 4 in place, so you need 4 more region captains to achieve your goal of 8. So what I want to hear from you, and what I want other region captains to do in future calls, I want to know what are you doing to achieve that goal of 8 region captains? Where do you stand? Where do you need help? What's going on in your region regarding achieving that goal of 8 region or district captains? You have 4 now. You need 4 more.
Right. You want a report right now?
No, I'm not asking you to do that right now. I'm just springing. I know I'm springing this on you. So no, I'm not asking for that right now. But going forward, yes.
Okay.
If as best you can. Okay. Now, so that's in the area of recruitment, and of course, we're going to, as we get more region captains in, of course, they will be then reporting on what's happening in their region with regard to how.
Their district?
Yeah, no, in their region.
No district captains in the region?
As we get more region captains in place.
Sorry, I thought you said district captains.
Did I? I meant region captains.
I'm old. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. You're really awake tonight, aren't you?
Yeah. You want me to? I'm going to mute myself. Okay.
Yes, you better do that. Okay. That's it for recruitment. Now, once again, I want to mention to you this graph is on the Indiana Leaders site. Okay. Now, when it comes to legislative, now, Paul, I know you're on tonight. We don't have a real good tracking device on these legislator meetings. So we've got one that we're trying to develop. Have you made any more progress on it, Paul?
Well, I've got the sample spreadsheet we talked about. The thing that it's missing is data. And, I'm not going to get any data until we actually have legislator meetings. And, we're at the point where I think we had 8 or so people go through the new 34 Ready Legislative Plan training.
Right.
We're doing a video tomorrow to wrap up questions. So I would say tomorrow is the first time we'll have people who have completed the training and who are in a position to meet with their legislators. So as those start happening, we'll collect that data. I think that spreadsheet will work great for a summary. And actually, I think LMS will work just fine for recording details of those meetings.
Right.
So
okay.
I think once the meetings start, we're going to do a fine job of tracking it.
Okay, good. And I think the region captains, Gary, I think you and Peter have you're about ready for Module 3, aren't you? Which is the legislative, or are you already in it?
Gary's already completed it.
Oh, he has? Okay.
Yeah, and I believe he'll be on the webinar tomorrow. Peter, I have not heard from him that he's completed the video yet.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Good. Well, as we get everybody trained and up to speed on the 34 Ready program, then we'll start being able to report how we stand and what we're doing with regard to meetings and so forth in the region.
Dale, one other thing I'll add here is Rodney has me on the schedule for Thursday to present our 34 Ready strategy nationally to the rest of the legislative liaisons.
Cool.
So I'm looking forward to doing that.
Good deal. Now, Paul, don't let him steal you away from Indiana. Okay. He may.
I tried.
See, I knew he.
I thought I had two bosses here anyway, that I worked for both of you.
Depends on how good the package is.
Yeah. Okay.
You get the same benefits I do. And pay.
Yeah.
He pays
Yeah.
me.
Paul. Don't let him tempt you with a raise in any way. Because you know what that means.
Yeah. Like
All
a
right.
record, he pays me twice as much what you do.
We all get the same, though. That's the
Yeah.
sad part.
Seriously, though, Paul's concept of 34 Ready, I believe, is a concept that can certainly be used and certainly in other past states, and Rodney even thinks even beyond that. But I think it's a great concept, and we should be very proud that Paul has produced that right here in Indiana. So good luck to you, Paul, on that.
Thanks.
Okay, grassroots. Now, again, here's a graph that a spreadsheet that we use on the state call, and it's on the Indiana Leaders site. So, since Gary's on the call tonight, we'll pick on him. In the month of March, Gary's region produced 120 petition signers. He's produced 727 year to date. He's got 939 more to go to reach his part of the goal of 30,000 for the state. So, Gary, what I would be looking for you to talk about in future meetings is, what are you doing to achieve this 939? And obviously that's going to change every month, but do you understand what I'm saying? What have you got going in your region to achieve the 939 more that you need to do your part in achieving the goal of 30,000? And once again, this could be a time to share between region captains, share ideas as to what others are doing, because we've got some hefty numbers here to achieve, and you're not going to be able to achieve them just relying on what is happening nationally to bring people into Convention of States. Albeit we're getting a lot, you're going to have to do more than that to achieve these numbers. Anybody have any questions on this? Okay. Okay, well then the last one is education, and you know, I don't have anything in mind right now as to how we're going to track this, other than we're just going to have to talk about it. It's really part of growing the grassroots, really. So we're looking for a way to track this, but hopefully we'll have some suggestions on education. Rachel, you're on tonight. Rachel made some good suggestions on the comms call last night about meetings. Do you remember what you said, Rachel? Can you comment on that?
I think I know what you're talking about. You mean about like alternatives to building a team and having meetings like on a smaller level in districts?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess sort of, my thought was that I was really hoping, and I was hoping actually speaking with Ken about this since he lives pretty close to me, about trying to spearhead this sort of idea of having meetings, regular meetings in the districts. It doesn't need to be the entire district. As Dale mentioned, some of the districts are pretty spread out geographically. But, I think that in the past, like Dale mentioned before, there have been this focus on, you should have town hall meetings, you should have town hall meetings. And I think we've all kind of agreed that is probably not the ideal way to educate and bring people in most places. I guess maybe there are certain areas in the state where maybe people are very gung-ho to do that. But in my training, I came across people who had mentioned specifically that, they would be happy to open their house up and have people come over. And I think that that's something that we might want to start talking more with our district captains about, having meetings, small get-togethers. It doesn't have to be, in their house, or it could be in a bar or, in a restaurant, but, just coffee or something like that. And then we were talking about potentially kind of having a region-wide meetings where district captains and other volunteers could, get together on a semi-regular basis and just get to know each other. And because we're finding, again, through this training and through our experience, that the piece that's missing in this organization that's in some ways the hardest to reach for and to get is the personal connection between people. And, once we establish that with people, once people get to, see each other, meet each other, talk, become friends, it's a lot easier to grow exponentially from that. Because, it's one thing to kind of have someone sign a petition and get a phone call, a message left for them. It's another thing to sat face to face and really get enthused about the movement. So I think that was what I was talking about.
Yeah. Okay, good. So we're talking back to the agenda here, recruitment, legislative, grassroots, and education. So going forward, this is what we're going to focus on in our region captain calls. And, of course, we'll also incorporate updates in some other areas as we see fit. But going forward, this is what we're going to focus on. Now, one item I want to bring up to you, and that is, and this is directed to the region captains, and will be mentioned and addressed in training, and that is the importance of developing a region team. Each region captain, I think, you can't do this all by yourself. You need to develop a team of people in your region, volunteers or people that you can count on and that you can be in communication with constantly, and help you to achieve the objectives that we're trying to achieve in these 4 areas. So I want to encourage the region captains to reach out to people in your district, volunteers, people that you can count on, and work together as a team in achieving these things. I'm talking to George and Rachel almost every day, and I'm reaching out to Paul and Ken frequently every week, not every day. But it's important that you have people to help you achieve what you're trying to achieve. So I guess that's enough said on that. I just encourage each region captain to develop your team of people that you can count on. Anybody have any comments or questions on that concept? Okay. All right. Well, let's get into some updates here then. Our DC recruitment phase 2 is up and going, and George is heading that up. George, you want to unmute yourself? And
I'm here.
Okay. I was going to bring up the tracking report here. Where to go? Where to go? For goodness sakes. Well, I think I closed the whole program out, didn't I? What I was going to try and bring up, George, was the district captain recruitment team tracking report that you're maintaining, and so that you can show us what you're trying to do here. Okay. I don't know why it's not coming up. It's thinking. That's the trait there.
Well, I think overall, as far as district captain recruitment, we probably backslid at 1 or 2 people, because I've gone through and gotten rid of a lot of people that we haven't been able to get a hold of, or they're starting to get kind of old sitting in the LMT, and so I kind of went through and cleaned that up. But we have gotten, there we go. Oops. So we have gotten some new district captains, though, and that's good.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Well, this is the training status. I don't know why I can't.
Yeah, well, it looks like the tab. If you look at the middle tab at the top of the page, it looks like that's the DCRT tracking.
Right here.
Yeah. Oh, maybe not.
Well, I don't know why it's not opening, but that's it.
I've had Slack pull a couple of funnies on me sometimes. It'll shut off the, it'll shut off me being able to download stuff. You got to go to preferences and tweak that. I've had to do that a couple of times in Slack.
Well, okay, we might be getting. Here we go. Here we go. I hope you can get an idea of what we're facing here with this tracking report. We have a lot of districts that we have yet to make calls in, looking for district captains. So what we've developed here is a new report, and well, for goodness sakes. So anyway, anything else you want to say on that, George?
Yeah, I got a report from Gary earlier tonight. District 97 is done, and he's. Also I got a text message from Terry. Where's my phone? I lost my phone. Oh, there it is. He's finished another district also. He said there were a couple good prospects in that. There was one guy that he wanted me to keep an eye out for.
Okay. All right.
John Biberstein from District 91. He has not shown up in the LMT yet. But so I got to assign new districts to these guys, for them to start calling. Are you going to open up Region 9 for us to start making calls in? Or are you still holding that for?
Yeah, it's kind of looking like we're going to have to open that up.
I think most of that is, a lot of that is the gaps that you're seeing in your spreadsheet, because we haven't made any calls in there. That's like 10, 11 districts.
So just to give you an idea, then, everybody, this is what we're faced with. We're trying to make these calls and try to recruit new district captains in these various districts. So just give you an idea. Anybody have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I got one. Is this ever since we started making the calls in February?
No.
It's just in phase 2.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go then to training, and Rachel, I will try and get your report up here and see if it works.
I can't hear anything. I don't know what's going on. I just lost sound.
I'm here, Rachel. I can see Dale's lips moving, but I can't hear him.
Now I hear you. I heard you, Paul. What's going on? What's going on?
I can see George talking, and I don't hear him.
Yeah, so are we in like a different universe than they are?
It's the Google ghost.
So it's me. It's Paul, Ken, and me.
I can hear you,
George
both.
and Dale are just gone. I don't hear Dale or George.
They're moving their lips but not talking.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do. I don't know if he can hear me. Yes, George says you can. Okay, so I'm just going to talk then because it seems like everybody can hear me. So, okay, so I'll just do the training update. All right, so yeah, this is a spreadsheet that Dale has up on the screen that I put together to track everybody who's in training. Currently, we have 17 people that are finished with Module 1. 11 people have finished Module 2. All of those people are passed on to Paul. And then I have 3 people scheduled. So it looks like there's probably about 10 people that haven't scheduled for various reasons. You may have noticed, or you may not have noticed because you probably weren't keeping up with this, guys, but we've actually had several people that had to be removed, unfortunately, because they were not responding to Dale and George's calls and my emails for training, so that's unfortunate. But the good news is that I can tell you that probably, once I've had a first module training with someone and met them face-to-face, I haven't really seen an issue with people kind of dropping off. And the training's going very well, I think. I think I've had good feedback from people. It seems like it's worthwhile. And even though it can be exhausting and it sometimes feels overwhelming, I'm convinced more than ever that we made the right choice as a state to go with an individualized face-to-face training, because I can tell you that, I don't think I've done one training that's exactly the same as any others. I mean, Gary can speak to this because I did a training with him, and it was, I couldn't have done that same training with Gary that I did with anybody else because, I base it off of what they already know, what their concerns are, what their issues are. And most of the region captains and the current district captains have been able to speed through the first 2 modules just in one module because they don't need to go through all the technology stuff that I have to teach all the new district captains. But I have to say there are several existing district captains, some of whom have been with us for more than a year or 2 years, who don't have a very good handle. They've never been properly trained on the district dashboard or Slack, or they have questions about the training manual that they were never really addressed or answered. So I think that it's overall going to be worth it. It's going much more slowly than I think any of us initially expected, but I really do firmly believe, and this is not because I'm invested in it because it's my program, but I really do believe that it's going to pay off in the long run. We're going to have people who are very prepared. We're going to have people who really understand what the job is before they start it, and we're going to have people who feel connected to a bunch of people, since they're going to have met me and George and Paul face to face, and seeing us as real people instead of just a name on an email, so on and so forth. The other thing I do want to mention is that one of the most interesting things that's come out of the training is we've had 2 new district captains who have already expressed interest potentially in becoming region captains. And that is not something that's going to happen soon. Dale and I are still discussing the best way to address that as far as the timing. At a minimum, they're going to need to finish their training before they even consider for a region captain role. But it's led to some interesting conversations that Dale and I have had about, when is a new person ready to be a region captain. The initial thought was that it was, we couldn't possibly consider someone as a region captain if they hadn't had experience as a district captain, since potentially they will be covering as district captain in their districts that don't have district captains. On the other hand, we also go back to the fact that, the region captain is a different skill set than the district captain, and I think we've kind of learned that from our experience with people that, somebody could be a great district captain. That doesn't mean that they have the skill set, the more administrative management skill set to be a region captain. So just to kind of let everyone know that we are going through a thorough thought process about, when to start entertaining these new people, and, how long potentially we need to kind of let them see what it's like to be a district captain before we think about bringing them on as a region captain. Of course, this is also balanced with our, as you guys know, our need for region captains, because, it's a little bit of a vicious cycle, because we rely on our region captains to help us recruit new district captains, but we can't get new region captains unless we already have district captains. So it's like a cycle that we can't quite ever get on top of. But I think we're making progress. But I can tell you, to me at least, and I'm sure to Dale too, it's very heartening to see that we have people coming in. These are people who signed the petition that we got through recruitment calls, and to see that, after 1 or 2 modules in training, they're so excited and they feel so comfortable with us as an organization, and they trust us enough that they want to do more. I think it's a really good sign for how we're doing as a state. We have some fantastic people coming on as district captains, really interesting, thoughtful people. I think we're doing a really good job with getting new people. Hopefully we'll get more of them. The other thing that I did want to mention is that, again, this is in conversation. So when Dale was speaking about the kind of how he's thinking about transitioning into these calls and what he wants the region captains to do, one of the other things, this is sort of a heads up that we've been talking about, is that if you guys, Gary, there's only one person on here that fits this. If Gary remembers from the training manual, one of your responsibilities as a region captain is to be, training and sort of keeping track of where your district captains are. So again, this is not something we're asking of now, but just a kind of fair warning. We're looking at how to start transitioning some of this training stuff to the region captains where it ultimately kind of should live. I'm not going anywhere. I'll still be spearheading it, but we're probably looking sometime pretty soon to be asking the region captains to be tracking their district captains in training. Currently, it's George and Dale and I are keeping track of all this information, and we're, chasing people down if they're not scheduling. Like you see, we have a spreadsheet that's completed, so what that would probably just entail is kind of just, checking on the spreadsheet and making sure that it's updated for the people that you have going through training in your region. And then, again, not to scare anybody, but ideally, and kind of based on the training manuals and the organizational structure, the training responsibility really for district captains is supposed to live with the region captains. So in a perfect world, at some point, there's going to be, the hope is that we can transition into a situation where I would train all region captains to be able to do the actual district captain training substantially on their own. Not on their own, but spearheaded at a minimum. So, that's the process.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Yes, I wanted to bring this up tonight because again, this is another part that we're going to eventually transition to. So the region captain in the future will be the mentor and will be the person actually training the district captains. Now that region captain may utilize other sources to be involved in that process, but the region captain will be responsible for it. Rachel will be available to support the region captain in that role. So again, this is just something that I wanted to bring this up now because like I said, it's something we're going to be transitioning to. And believe me, it's very exciting to me to hear of new district captain trainees coming in and wanting to become region captains. I just think that's great. And I'm hoping that if the two that have already expressed that desire, if they're any indication of the kind of people we're bringing in, we're going to have a good set of region captains one of these days. So very excited about that. Anybody have any, Gary, you have any questions on this, or anyone else have any questions on this particular item?
This is Rodney. I was just curious about, I think you'd mentioned way on early the existing team members taking it and giving feedback and helping improve it. And did you get a lot of good feedback on that and make changes? Just curious.
In the training?
Yeah, as you went along with it.
Well, it's been, it's very dynamic. I really have to say I have very little that's set. I mean, obviously, so it's an adjustment process that I make as I go in each module with a person. I also, what I've been doing, which fortunately is I'm not fixing the time. Like I purposely don't schedule people one after the other if I don't have to, because if somebody needs an extra 10, 15 minutes, I offer that. I do know that Dale has heard from some people. I think the feedback has been mostly positive. And we are planning on doing a survey at the end of the training. At least I'd like to do a survey, an anonymous. I have to figure out how to do it. I think there's a way to do it on Google where you can do an anonymous survey. So we can have each person that's completed the program give us detail. I would love to have detailed feedback. And I think doing it anonymously is the best way to get honest opinions, especially since we have 30, 40 people going through this, so there'd be no way to know who was who. We haven't put that into place yet because we don't have anybody that's even done Module 3 yet. But I haven't, so I guess the answer is no, we don't really have any formal feedback yet. But Dale can maybe speak to that because I know he's spoken to some people.
Yeah, I've had an opportunity to speak to various district captain trainees that are going through it, and all the feedback I've been getting has been very positive. Very positive. So, and they've really actually thanked me for doing this, for making Rachel available like this. So, it's been very good feedback.
Yeah, cool. I wasn't talking about anything formal. I was just talking about comments as you went through.
Yeah.
Could you change this here, or maybe this would be better?
You know what? Actually, I've come across, which is fascinating, and it's happened surprisingly with existing district captains. It's surprising at how much help they need and how little they were given. It makes me sad for the people who we've already lost for that reason. But I've definitely, one of the responses I tend to get actually quite a bit with Module 1, which is sort of COS basics, is I find people sometimes schedule with me right after they get the email, and then they call me back and say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much there was. I didn't realize how much I didn't know. I didn't realize that there was, not in a negative way, like it's too much, but that, wow, I actually need to sit and spend the whole day reading the stuff to make sure I understand it. And they do tend to come prepared with questions. I mean, I've had some great questions. So I think the format works too. I think that this is a lesson to be learned for training in general. This has been something I've been pushing, that, everyone has a different way of learning, and I find that the way that we're doing it, where I assign the materials ahead of the module, is a much more efficient use of time, and it really helps because, you know, it's a lot. And I would much rather spend time discussing their thoughts about reading something than, you know, going through it with them like they can't read on their own. So I think it's been positive. I think that most people, and even our existing people have, you know, used the time and had a lot of questions and concerns, and even people who are very gung-ho, you know, once you get face-to-face with them, you start to uncover that they might have some concerns or something they're unsure about. So I do feel like, at a minimum, you know, we're getting a good sense of that people feel like it's a good outlet. And again, like I said, I never like to underestimate the power of actually talking to somebody face-to-face. So.
Cool.
Okay, good.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment on that too, just very briefly, and that is, I think it is very helpful when we are recruiting people as district captains to be able to tell them, hey, we have a great training program that will teach you what to do, because, you know, taking on something new, if people feel like they don't know what to do, they're reluctant to agree to do that. And I think just being able to say, hey, we have a training program is very beneficial.
Definitely.
Cool. Good comment, Gary. Thank you. Believe me, when I talk to new district captain applicants, it's very comforting to me also to be able to tell them that we have this training program that we're going to take them through. And
yeah, I do that too. It's nice to be able to do that.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Okay, Paul, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Do you have anything else you wanted to mention about the legislative area?
Well, yeah, I can probably just share a couple more things that I've been working on. One is the LMS system. I'm going through making sure, you know, all the legislators are updated. You know, I'm encountering a problem with being able to add missing legislators. I had to open a ticket on it, so I'm hoping that gets resolved pretty quickly. And then our legislative database should be accurate and up to date. And just a couple other things. I do have a breakfast meeting scheduled with Senator Holdman for next week. He's going to get to hear about 34 Ready. As you probably know, he was our sponsor for SJR 14, and is one of the leading candidates to replace Senator Long as President Pro Tem of the Senate. So he's a real important ally. And then I'm also going to be attending a couple of Lincoln Day dinners, the DeKalb County one next week, and then Allen County a week from Monday. So got those few things cooking.
Yes, I'll be at both of those Lincoln Day dinners too. So we can team up, and Paul, when we get there. George, there's probably Lincoln Day dinners going on around the state, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, there's one in LaGrange County, I know. I went to it last year.
Did you? Okay.
I haven't done any kind of research. Just, you know, I'll find out when it is this year and probably go to that one too.
Okay. Those are good opportunities to shake hands and say hi to different legislators. You know, you're not gonna have a meeting with them at that time, but it's another good opportunity to say hi and let them know who you are, and get a picture taken if you can. Get a picture taken with that legislator. We'll post that on. We'll give that to Ken to use for maybe some content. So, Ken, you're still with us?
To mute myself here. I've got a noisy room next to me, so
all right.
Yeah, I'm still here. So yeah, that would be great. We got some pictures. You guys get, even if they're just stills, we can use them. But if you can do a short little 15, 20-second video, we can use those as well.
That's a good idea. Yeah. So these are good opportunities. We need to take advantage of them. So, Ken, what's happening on the comms team? Anybody? What kind of update you got for us tonight?
Well, we had our meeting last night. I think we had a good meeting talking about really some of the things that we'd like to do going forward. I know Rachel touched on it briefly there, where we talked about doing some more, trying to do some more personalized gatherings, very informal. As we've all come to find out, I think, and recognize that the more personal and familiar we get with the people, not only that are already volunteers or on the team, but those that might be considering getting involved, the more we unearth nuggets of gold. We find talents and interest from people that we wouldn't have known were there from just sending an email or some of the other technological tools that we come to rely on. So I think we talked a little bit about that, and I think we've got some good ideas going forward. We also talked about I'm going to start looking at creating a state page to go along with Citizens Builder. Talking to some other states and seeing how that's being used, but that was also part of what we talked about as far as making it more of a community communication type page where we can actually converse with people through the state page, because we've talked about things other than Facebook. Not everybody's on Facebook. I think some of the things that are being reported, some people aren't using it as much. And to a certain degree, it seems to be still feeding older people. To the younger people, I think, aren't using Facebook as much. So the state page might be another place we can start to get some of those people involved. But those were a few of the topics, along with how we are still panning for SMWs who we can use state-wise to help us, encourage events or talk about events, help us promote different things that are going on. So that's pretty much what we covered last night, and I thought we had some good ideas, some good things going forward, and we continue to get our DCs and regionals connected and on board. I think we can look forward to some good things going forward.
Yep. All right. Thanks, Ken. Okay, folks, that's all we have for tonight. Our next call will be April 17th. I hope I got the dates right here. That'll be Tuesday, a week from tonight. So, anybody have any last comments or questions or anything that you want to bring up before we close out tonight?
Rodney, I'll just say this call has been awesome. All the information and all the things you guys are doing, it's great. And once again, I have to report twice a week on the LMT and the follow-up tool, and Indiana is outstanding every week. I don't have to go over huge numbers or anything. You guys are doing awesome there.
Good. Thank you. All right, guys. Ken, hang on. We got to talk about something here, but everybody else, have a good night.
Night.
And stay in touch.
Good night.
Night, everybody.